All right, folks, this is truly stunning. As I mentioned in previous videos, the new proposed Republican budget would ultimately strip Medicaid from 14 million Americans. And now, even Fox News is finally admitting on air explicitly that Republicans are trying to cut Medicaid. On top of that, protesters crashed a congressional hearing yesterday and demanded to the faces of GOP lawmakers that Medicaid not be cut. And it's gotten so bad that a Republican senator is on CNN, of all places, desperately trying to spin this, throwing House Republicans under the bus, saying they're trying to cut Medicaid, but Senate Republicans aren't. It's a total shit show, but let's be clear. Republicans lied, Democrats were right, and even Fox News is admitting it. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Folks, when Fox News is finally willing to give the game up and saying, yeah, you're trying to cut Medicaid, you've truly lost the debate.
The House Energy Committee releasing its portion of the reconciliation legislation late last night. The bill cuts from Medicaid and adds work requirements and more frequent eligibility checks.
You can almost hear, like, in her voice, like, oh my God, I actually said it. On air, I totally contradicted the lies of the Republican Party that they have spent weeks and months peddling. No, of course, sure, for years we've tried to cut social safety programs, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. Sure, we've tried to do that, but this time it's different. When in fact it wasn't. And even Fox News is publicly acknowledging it. It's a total disaster. It's so bad that Josh Hawley, a Republican senator, a MAGA Republican senator, I might add, who wanted to overturn the 2020 election. I mean, this guy is as far right as it could possibly be. Well, he's on CNN trying to do damage control. Oh, those are House Republicans. House Republicans are trying to cut Medicaid, but we're not, and Donald Trump won't let it happen. Republicans lied. Democrats were telling the truth.
We do that by giving them tax relief. We do that by bringing down their health care bills. We don't do it by cutting Medicaid.
If this bill becomes law, are you concerned that Republicans could face a severe blowback in the elections next year?
No, this bill is not going to become law in its current form, not least because President Trump won't sign it. Manu, I've talked to him about this personally multiple times. He has been crystal clear in public, too. No Medicaid benefit cuts. We need to give a tax cut to working people, not raise their taxes when it comes to health care, not take away their health care benefits.
So again, Hawley's full of shit with his whole I'm for the working class shtick, because when President Biden was in power, Hawley could have voted to continue the child tax credit, for example, which cut child poverty in half. Hawley rhetorically supported it, but refused to lend his votes because he hates Democrats more than he cares at all about children. But again, note that he's on CNN admitting that this Republican budget will cut Medicaid benefits. And he says, I won't support it. It won't become law. Trump won't sign it into law. So he's hoping that that will give grace to the GOP from the American people. But I'm not sure it will. Again, total civil war infighting between the GOP in both chambers. But it is a fact that the Republican budget will cut Medicaid coverage from 14 million Americans if this is allowed to go into effect. So now I want to draw to your attention the backlash that Republicans are getting from this. We'll look at some polling information courtesy of CNN's Harry Enton later, but here's a more visceral example of protesters crashing a congressional hearing and demanding that GOP lawmakers keep their hands away from Medicaid.
The committee will come to order. The chair will advise the audience that disruption of a congressional business is a violation of law and is a criminal offense. Please come to order.
And it goes on like that. They were constantly, Republican lawmakers were being rightly heckled repeatedly throughout the congressional hearing. Smug Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw of Texas, accused these people of succumbing to lies from the Democratic Party. But again, totally shoots himself in the foot because Josh Hawley acknowledges that this proposal would strip Medicaid coverage. So again, the Republicans are tripping over Republicans, and even Fox News is calling this out. But let's play this clip of Dan Crenshaw trying to do his own form of smug damage control. Doesn't work.
No, you don't, I'm sorry. I am sorry that, here's my apology to you. I am sorry that people lied to you. I am sorry that so many people in the media and on the left have lied to you.
Mr. Chairman.
Like Fox News? Was Fox News lying when they said that your proposed budget would cut Medicaid? Is Josh Hawley lying, Republican senator, when he says that your proposed budget would cut Medicaid and that's why he's confident it won't become law?
And thank you very much. You are going to hear a lot about lies. Let me tell you who the biggest liar of them all is. That is Donald Trump. Yes. Donald Trump promised he wouldn't touch Medicaid. That was a lie. My Republican colleagues, my MAGA colleagues, swore up and down that they wouldn't touch Medicaid. It was a lie.
Objection.
Now, hold on a second, Mr. Chairman. Everybody over here has been hollering about lying, and now all of a sudden they're objecting.
All right, gentlemen.
Come on now.
And he's right. This is what Republicans do. They violate decorum, they violate etiquette, they attack, they throw insults, they use harsh language. But then if you give them a fraction of that return fire, they clutch their pearls and cry and piss and shit themselves because they are the ultimate snowflakes. But this guy's right. Trump did lie. Republicans did lie. Fox News is admitting it. Hawley's admitting it. It's a total shit show. They have totally lied about their commitment to protect Medicaid. And Democrats should be demagoguing the hell out of this issue because Republicans would if they were also on this side of a politically winning issue. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic superstar, had some things to say during this congressional hearing. Pretty effective.
And the math is not adding up. They're trying to convince people that they are cutting millions of undocumented people from payroll, from Medicare, acting as though this is what's going to save it. Even if you believe everything that Republicans have said today, they are identifying 1 million, their claim, which I dispute, but if you believe them, their claim is that 1 million undocumented people are on Medicaid. So why are they trying to cut 13.7 million Americans off their health care? By the Republicans' own Energy and Commerce tweet this morning, their claim is 7.6 million people are somehow ineligible for health care. So why are they cutting 13.7 million Americans off their health care? They've asked us to read this bill, and we have. This bill bans the people that they kick off of Medicaid from even buying their own insurance from the Affordable Care Act exchange. So once you are kicked off Medicaid, you then can't even buy your own health insurance. It increases costs for people who they deem eligible and who are low income and forces them to pay even more. And if you have a private insurer, don't worry, you're getting screwed over too, because your healthcare premiums are going to skyrocket from the disaster that is happening from this bill.
So good. She's just so good. Watching AOC, I remember when I was going through my right-wing kind of centrist phase after Donald Trump won the election. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I despised Donald Trump. I thought he was corrupt. But I was also like starting to succumb to that kind of Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire, Jordan Peterson, enlightened centrist pipeline. And that's when these two were far less ridiculous than they are today. And so even though I was a lifelong Democrat, only ever voted for Democrats, after Trump won, I guess my brain switched. I was like, okay, well, he's president now, and I voted against him, and I can't change that. And I used to be hyper-fixated on what I thought was, cringe statements from AOC. But AOC has become one of the most effective congresspeople, representatives, and lawmakers in the country. You ever see her conduct like an interrogation of witnesses during congressional hearings? She's brutal. Like you can almost hear the sphincters of the people who are about to answer her questions clench in fear because she's so damn good. The Democrats made a colossal mistake not making her the ranking member of oversight instead of Jerry Connolly, who great guy, great congressman, but simply no match for her, and who now is seeing a health issue resurgence. His cancer has returned, and now he's having to step away from oversight, and he will not be seeking re-election. That job should have been AOC's in the first place. Here's another clip of her.
Bill, we've done assessments because if you live in a rural community, you're going to be hurt too. In New York 23, 25% of people are on Medicaid in this area of upstate New York. Westfield Memorial Hospital will be at risk of closure. UPMC Chautauqua is at risk of closure. Schuyler Hospital at risk of closure. California 23, where 46% of people are on Medicaid. Redlands Community Hospital, at risk of closure if this passes. Victor Valley Global Medical Center, Loma Linda University Medical Center, all at risk of closure. Colorado 8, 24% of people in this community are on Medicaid, and Platte Valley Medical Center will be at risk of closure if these cuts pass.
She's so good. Notice how she is highlighting Republican district, red districts. And this goes back to it. You know, there are issues with Democratic governance. I'm not going to sit here and say that Democrats are perfect governors at the federal or state level. We've got our issues, which, by the way, we desperately need to address, because if we don't, then by the time the next census, which ultimately apportions the distribution of seats and, in the House of Representatives, we could be potentially permanently locked out of a legislative majority. So we do have to get our shit together. Want to say that for the record. But I will also remind you, the Republican governance on a general level is just worse, right? Republican decisions ultimately screw over their own base as well. It'd be bad enough if it was just liberals, progressives, women, minorities, marginalized groups, people that the conservatives despise. But some of the people who are hurt the most by conservative policies are conservatives. And generally speaking, the poorest, least educated, least healthy, most federally dependent states are red states. And so it's like, what's the benefit of Republican governance? It's really hard to manifest. And I love the fact that she is drawing specific examples. Hey, the person who lives in a red district, here's how your congressman and Donald Trump's actions will affect you directly and your community directly. I want to end on one clip, okay, which is Harry Enton, CNN data analyst, diving into how disastrous these politics are for the Republican Party, which explains why. Even Josh Hawley is out on CNN doing damage control. That's them. That's not us. We're not going to let that happen. I promise. This is the reason why.
The politics of this are so bad, it literally blows my mind. That is what the American people think of this. Major spending cuts to Medicaid. Look at this. 76% oppose. Just 24% favor major federal spending cuts to Medicaid. To give you an idea of how big this 76% is, in a separate poll I looked at it, George Washington's favorable rating is 78%. Basically, the exact same percentage of Americans who are opposed to major cuts to Medicaid on the federal level. As I said, the politics of this are so extremely bad, it blows my mind, Kate.
That is overall. What about amongst Republicans? Because Republicans are obviously the party in the majority and advancing this need to cut some $880 million from Medicaid.
Okay, so we see this 76% overall. You see it over here. Oppose major spending cuts to Medicaid on the federal level. You get 95% of Democrats opposed, 79% of independents, and you even get a majority of Republicans. 55% oppose major spending cuts to Medicaid. This, simply put, is not popular on any part of the aisle. From the left all the way to the right, the opposition is in the majority. When you get a majority of Republicans, a majority of independents, a majority of Democrats to agree on anything, you know that is where the American public stands, and they stand strongly. And on this particular issue, they stand very strongly opposing major spending cuts to Medicaid. The politics of this, simply put, are atrocious.
And that's why Democrats have an obligation to consistently, loudly, and ruthlessly tie the Republicans to this. Republicans did this. They have historically tried to cut social safety programs like Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare. They should be held politically accountable for that. Their current actions do not indicate any sort of mea culpa and a serious commitment to protecting these social safety and security programs. And so, again, I think that when you have Fox News publicly admitting this and Josh Hawley scrambling and, there's clear schism, there are clear schisms and fractures within the GOP, Democrats need to be ruthless about this. Don't assume facts will speak for themselves. Say it loudly and in front of every possible camera and make the Republicans pay a brutal political consequence in next year's elections. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.